What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back. How you guys feeling, man? How you guys feeling? We are back up in this piece. I can't believe this is the second one I've done today, man. I'm trying to get these kinks worked out, man. I think I got it figured out. How you guys feeling, man? How you guys feeling, man? Welcome back to the channel, man. Give yourselves a round of applause for coming back for another episode, man. Yes, sir. I know there's a lot going on in the manosphere these days in this small sector of the internet, man, and there's a lot going on. There's a lot of people who've came to the forefront to head off the manosphere, man. Cats like Kevin Samuels, who's long gone now, and don't forget the Tate brothers, man. But then we had a young lady come up by the name of Pearl. Pearly Things. Everybody knows Just Pearly Things, man. Man, yeah, she hit the scene, man, and like made a big splash. She did, she did her thing. She was doing her thing. But it looks like, man, it's gonna be a pattern when it comes to the manosphere, man. When the minute you go to the top, man, it's like there's your immediate fall. There's an immediate downfall that's waiting on you, man. It's hilarious how things are going right now. But you know what, man? And yeah, Pearl's been caught up in some things, man. She's been caught up in a pretty big deal right now. It's like, they're accusing her of colonization. Everybody has their opinions on her. It's like it's kind of split in between with how people feel about this woman. And it's interesting, it's like the black man needed somebody to fill that role when Kevin Samuels left us, man, in his untimely passing. We miss him to this day. Miss him for real. But yeah, Pearl stepped in, and it's like black man took to her, and it was on and popping. But it looks like Pearl has gotten herself into some hot water by interviewing a known professed racist, Nick Fuentes. So without further ado, man, let's get into it. It looks like Pearl is on her way down the hole, man. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. It's going to be interesting to see what she does and to see if she can pivot from this. I know we're all, we are capable of making mistakes, man. None of us are perfect. And that's what's crazy about the manosphere. With people in general, man, everybody's like, especially over here, it's like people are looking for you to screw up in a certain way. But, like I said, I'm neither here with it or there with it. But I do want to cover this, man, because it's a pretty big deal. It's a pretty big deal. So without further ado, man, let's get into it, man. Let's get into it.
Before we even get started,
tell them.
If you have watched 2 or more of our videos and you have not subscribed, then we have what, pal?
Beef.
What do we have?
Beef.
Exactly. So you better get doing that right now. Before we even get started, all right? If you have watched 2 or more of our videos and you have not subscribed,
tell them.
Then we have what, pal?
Beef.
What have we got?
Beef.
Exactly. So you better get doing that right now. Over to you, pal.
And if you guys don't know, this is one of Pearl's business partners. If it wasn't for this guy right here, Sara Garvey, Pearl's show wouldn't be what it is today. With the help of this man right here, this is what skyrocketed Pearl's podcast to the higher heights to what it is today. This guy, Sara Garvey, is the guy behind everything that Pearl is today. So yeah, man, let's give this cat a round of applause, man, for what he did. Give him a round of applause, guys. Give him a round of applause. This is the genius behind Just Pearly Things and getting her organized to the point to where she can be catapulted to the masses. Give it up for this man right here. He's the one that did it. But yeah, man, he's coming out with some truths on Pearl. And it's interesting to see how all of this is going to play out. But man, he's coming with receipts, man. He's coming with receipts. But it's like Pearl is being accused of colonization. It's cultural appropriation. I think that's how you want to call it. But without further ado, man, let's get into it and see what Sara has to say, man. Let's do it.
I'm making this video today that I didn't initially want to make, but there comes a time when we're all at a crossroad and have to make a decision. And sometimes that decision can affect you morally, it can affect you spiritually, and it can affect you financially. But it's a decision that we can't shy away from. Now, recently, Just Pearly Things has been caught up in some controversy. Why? She has interviewed avid racist and known racist Nick Fuentes. He is also an anti-Semite. What did Pearl do when she interviewed him? What she done is that she laughed with him and seems to agree with a lot of his points.
Talk about instances of like when they initially freed the slaves, there were some slaves that felt so indebted to their owners that they would travel across states to pay them back, and they actually had a really good relationship with them.
Now, if she had said some of these things about the Jewish community, she would have been cancelled in a hot minute. Ask Kyrie Irving. Ask Kanye West. Now, this isn't about the Jewish community. This is about us. Okay? And so after that interview, Pearl decided to make an apology video, which was, in my personal point of view, disingenuous and a PR stunt. And all in all, it came from a place of deception.
I have to admit, this didn't feel genuine to me. It's like she made a lot of excuses for what she did instead of just taking pure accountability for what she did. And that's crazy. I mean, that's interesting. That's interesting, you know, with the platform that she has, you know, she has people working for her, man. Like, it is what it is. And I have to, and you know, I have to do a reaction on this one too, but because actually MTR actually called her up and, you know, tried to figure out what was going on. But basically, after everything was said and done, he cut ties with her. And that's saying a lot because MTR is pretty big in this space, man. He knows his thing. I mean, he was right there with Kevin Samuels, man. Like, they had a whole bunch of things that was planned out. MTR and Pearl had a lot of things that were planned out, but MTR just pretty much just broke it off, man. This is interesting. This is interesting to see how this is going to play out down the road for Pearl.
People say that stuff about me. They say I'm sexist. They say I'm a misogynist. And, you know, I really just like to give people the benefit of the doubt when I interview them. I don't go into interviews trying to interrogate someone. I just more try to listen and see where they're coming from.
I think Pearl overstepped on this one. I think she got a little bit too ambitious. A little bit too ambitious. She needed guidance in this. This Nick Fuentes guy, this is a heavy hitter, man. Like, you got to come into this with heat. You got to come into this with, you know what I'm saying, with like help, man. You just can't interview cats like this and not have your I's dotted and your T's crossed. You know what I'm saying? She really I think she just got ahead of herself. She got a little bit ambitious with what she had going on. That's for sure.
In hindsight, that wasn't smart. And in hindsight, I should have had someone, you know, maybe Sara Garvey, maybe another content creator that could have pushed back more and really was more educated on the topics that he was talking about than I was, because I certainly was not an expert in any of the stuff that he was talking about.
Now, I've been on social media for a while, and I have done interviews with the likes of Tommy Robinson, Sargon of Akkad, politicians like Lee Jasper, and also Lin May and people from the music industry like So Solid, Mega Man to be exact. Now, Pearl was reacting to my content prior to coming to the UK. And so when she came to the UK, I was very interested in the content that she would actually put out. And it just so happened that she was putting out content that I was interested in, similar to what the late, great Kevin Samuels actually put out. And I understand it because I myself had been embroiled in court cases and things of that nature when it comes to the mother of my son, and understand that the gynocentric order in which we live in is something that needs to be spoken about. So when she came to London, she said that she wanted to make a podcast. And I said, no problem. Okay, let's talk about it. And I decided to feature on her show. Now, when I featured on her show, because of my following in the UK, people would tune in. So essentially, I helped Pearl grow her channel.
Guys, don't forget, as you're coming in here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Like the video, it pushes us through the stratosphere so you can see more content like this, all right? And leave a comment, man. Tell me what you're thinking on this, all right? I'll definitely hit you back. All right.
Okay, I was on there week to week, and I was working with her based on a fee. So the tragic death of Kevin Samuels happened, and there was a vacuum within the manosphere space. Who was it going to be filled by? It was actually filled by Just Pearly Things, along with other content creators. Now, I believe that the reason why this space was filled is because Kevin Samuels had a large following of black men.
Facts.
And these black men were essentially fed up with the way feminism had taken over their community.
Yes.
Specifically, their women. So when he died, there was a vacuum and a lot of black men looking for content like this. And it was filled by Pearl. And I believe that Pearl rose to fame because she herself was the opposite of what those men had been seeing. She was a white woman.
And imagine that, how someone of her color has always done that, even with the music. They did it with rock, they did it with R&B, they did it with hip hop. I mean, it is what it is. It's just how America is built. Black people come in and they do it, and then white people come in afterwards and take it over. It is what it is. It's just how it works. I hope someday this stops, but this is kind of where we are today, guys. This is where we are. Hopefully one day we wake up from this.
She wasn't the types of women that they had been seeing, and essentially she was regurgitating Kevin Samuels' content. So I began working with Pearl, and from the beginning, I started to think that maybe this girl has a colonial mindset.
Uh-oh. And it's so interesting, man, because me and my brother, we used to always talk about Pearl, every now and then we would talk about Pearl, and, it's kind of cool what she's doing, but man, dude, this is interesting, man. I hate that this is true. I hope this is not true. I'm not taking sides. I'm waiting to see how all of this is going to play out, man. This is going to play out. This is going to be interesting. Very interesting.
Now, we all know that we don't want to be paranoid. So I kept working with her. However, the more I worked with her is the more that I saw. She had a colonial type viewpoint when it came to black people. And I had to school her a few times on what it was like to be black and the black experience, and also what slavery and colonization was actually like.
Do you think that historical catastrophes must be compensated for?
No. That's stupid.
So then, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing.
Yeah.
So then, how come there were groups of people that got compensation then?
How come?
For instance, like Jewish people, Chinese people, Japanese people with the bombs. Like there were groups of people who got compensated.
I don't know.
So it wasn't fair.
What? Well, I'm talking about like when I think about group, I think about reparations. So maybe if the people were still alive today, like I don't know, maybe. But
wow. Man, this is crazy.
Like when you said historical, I thought you meant like at the past, not the present.
Yeah, so like in the past, so like people talk about slavery. So in the past, you know, the Holocaust happened. In the past, the Japanese, but people got compensated for it.
Yeah.
There's a book, right, called How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. And when you read that book, you realize that the whole Industrial Revolution and stuff like that was started because of the colonization. And you just think, well, if you didn't do that, then you wouldn't be as successful.
So what do you mean?
Interesting, because it's like she's really, just by the look on her face, you can kind of tell she's really not interested. You know what I mean? She's really not. And this is how a lot of Caucasian people are, because they didn't have to deal with the struggle of what our ancestors went through. This is interesting, man. This is straight interesting. Man.
The colonization.
So the colonization of Africa, so both the people and the resources, right? There's a direct correlation between the colonization of Africa and the Industrial Revolution.
Okay.
And so with all the metals and the rubber and all this kind of stuff coming from Africa, it fueled the Industrial Revolution of the West.
Wait, so you're saying like in Africa, when you say colonize, you're saying like did England come in and colonize?
Yeah, like so European, France, Spain, Portugal, England.
And they like enslaved Africans, and that's what you're saying? Okay.
So they enslaved and at least colonized the continent.
Okay.
So when you colonize a continent and then you take ownership of the resources, you're able to gather those resources together and use them to your own benefit.
Right. Exactly.
So you gather those resources, use them to your own benefit, and build up your economy, all the while messing up the economy of that actual country.
Right.
So that video was filmed in 2022.
Wow, and in that this is crazy. It's like, this dude is so calculated. It's like he kept all of this. It's like he definitely pulled a Batman move. This is me. This is me right here. This is me right here. Wow, interesting. This guy is so I like this guy. He's cool.
Video, what you saw was me attempting to tell Pearl and show Pearl what colonization was like. How people went to another group of people and took their resources and took what was theirs and built their empire off of it. So when Pearl now plays like she doesn't know what colonization is, and she doesn't know what slavery is, and she says these insensitive statements, in that video, I actually attempted to give her a book. It was called How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. I've read it myself. She semi-dismissed that book. She kind of dismissed that book.
Yep,
and then she went on with herself to...
I could tell, just by the look on her face, I could tell. Just, she really wasn't into it. I could tell. Interesting, man. Interesting. And this is how a lot of people, white people in America are, because they haven't dealt with the struggle. They don't get it.
Go and interview a man like Nick Fuentes. Pearl has Africans that work for her. Now, Nigeria has many issues. Now, the disparity in Nigeria has rich and poor people living just on the breadline. And Pearl has these types of people working for her. They edit her videos. They make her thumbnails.
So, look what I have here. This is evidence to show how hard my Americans work.
Wow.
No, hold on. You forgot, yeah?
This dude kept video footage of everything. Everything. Interesting. I think he knew just how she was. He knew.
This is how hard my white Americans work.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
They're very hard workers.
Yes.
I like how they work. My white Americans really work hard. You see that?
They inspire us to work hard.
No. Do you know what? They don't even inspire. They're working hard for themselves, bro.
Oh, okay.
You know, they're putting in a lot of work, yeah? They put in a lot of work. My white Americans
you guys should
work hard. Yeah, you could.
So Pearl has taken people on from Africa, which on the surface looks like a good thing. And I guess it is. Africans are being fed. They're taking money from her. They are feeding their family. Amazing. However, with a colonial mindset, this can be quite dangerous. And what happened during that interview with Nick Fuentes was that she used an age-old tactic that colonizers use, which was a divide and rule tactic. She pitted African Americans versus Africans when she spoke about how hard Africans work compared to how hard African Americans work. And she also used the term, my Africans.
Oh, man. No. Wow. Interesting.
Bruh.
This is crazy. Guys. This is what happens, like I said, when you get out there and you're not used to this level of, and I'm going to say fame. Most people are not used to this level of fame. And it's easy to change amongst it. So easy. So easy, man. Man.
Much of what Pearl says is determined by her management, which she has said to me on many occasions that she shares with Candace Owens. So when you have a colonial mindset and you have a management who tell you what to say, what generally happens, in my personal point of view, and what I actually saw, was that she began to start paying people pittance. She began to start offering contracts to people that owned them, just like a colonial master would.
Wow.
Case in point. Myself and Pearl sat down to have a conversation about me signing to her contractually. And I want to make this very clear. I have never signed to the Just Pearly Things network. I have always been an independent. Pearl has known that, and I have known that.
This is not going to look good. Not going to look good. I can just already tell by how this is playing out. This is not going to look good.
And so anytime I worked with Pearl, we had agreed a fee, and I worked for that fee. I have never been signed to the Just Pearly Things contracts. However, she has signed a few Africans, namely King Rich's and Auntie Jenny. Now, I have no problem with a King Rich's or an Auntie Jenny. However, if we look at the contracts that they signed, you would understand the reason why I use the term colonization and colonial. Now, myself and Pearl sat down to have a conversation, and she expressed to me that she wanted to do a new segment for her show. In that segment, she said that she would like me to present a topical news show on a day-to-day basis. So I said, okay, no problem. Talk to me. What are we talking about? And she said she would want me within her studio 4 days per week. I said, okay, from what time? She said from 10 in the morning till 5 o'clock in the evening.
No, absolutely not. No, this is an employee situation that she wants. Interesting.
And I said, okay, well, that is 7 hours. I said, so working 4 to 5 days a week for 7 hours is essentially a day job. I said to her, okay, so.
And he must really be disgusted with her, man, with what she did to just be coming out with this information like this. I can only imagine what the conversation was like behind the scenes with him and her. Man. Wow, man.
What is my guaranteed fee at the end of the month? What is the salary? And she looks at me and she says, we do not do guarantees and we do not do salaries.
Oh, man. Oh, boy. And this is the guy that helped you build your channel up to where it is. This is pure colonization for sure. Yeah, this is it. This is classic, man.
So I said, so if you don't do guarantees and you don't do salaries, what is it that you actually do? And she said she does percentages. So I said, okay, cool. Well, what's the percentage? She said, Sara, you're the high end, so you will get 70-30. So I said, fine, okay, let me listen. 70% goes to me and 30% goes to you. Now she looked at me and she said, no, 70% goes to me, Pearl, and 30% goes to me, Sara Garvey. And that's when I started scratching my head. And I said, hang on a minute. So are you telling me that's a high-end contract for you? And she said, yes. And I said, so are you saying that Just Pearly Things Network has other people on low-end contracts? She said, yes.
Oh, man. What are we doing? What are we doing, guys? What are we doing? She's trying to make an employee out of him. Wow, I'm going to be interested on seeing what happens to this girl, man, with her podcast. This is going to be interesting. This is amazing how people change, man, when they get a little fame. This is crazy.
I said King Rich's and Auntie Jenny. She said yes. I said, what's the low end? She said it's 10 to 15%. So essentially, she could be owning 80% of the content, which is basically the monetized views.
No way. This is hilarious. No. God, man, people are just not loyal today. Wow, this is interesting.
On somebody's channel, and they only take home 15% of the money. She said yes. I said, Pearl, how long are these contracts for? She said 3 years.
No way. Wow. 3 years? Wow, those streams will be dead after that. Come on, man.
I said, let me get this straight. You want to own me for 3 years to take 70% of my ad revenue, keep me in your studio from 10 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the evening for 4 to 5 days a week, and you are not guaranteeing me any money.
And this is like zero respect for the man. Come on, yo. This dude, he has his own huge channel. Go look him up. I think it's over like 90,000 subscribers. This dude's channel is huge. Wow. Interesting.
I said respectfully, for what reason would I work for your company? She said, because we have a great studio.
Oh my goodness. Wow. And I wonder if she's gonna come out and dispute this. I'm curious. I seriously doubt it, but I would love to hear her side of this, man. Because like I said, there's always two sides to a story. It is what it is, man. This is crazy.
And we have great lighting. And we have great editors that will edit your stuff down. Now, I may be a lot of things, but I'm not an idiot. Facts, man. Wow. This is interesting. I may be cool, I may be calm, I may be collected, but I'm not a fool.
Right.
And essentially, the colonial mindset of Pearl has people working on her quote-unquote plantation for absolute pittance, when a year ago, I suggested to her to look into exactly what colonization was, and she acted dumb.
This is what they do. This is what they do, man. You got to be careful out here, man. You have to be careful. Woo. Wow.
People say that stuff about me. They say I'm sexist. They say I'm a misogynist. And, you know, I really just like to give people the benefit of the doubt when I interview them. I don't go into interviews trying to interrogate someone.
I don't like that explanation. I hate that saying. Benefit of the doubt. I don't like that saying. People use it as an excuse. I don't like that saying, man, because it's so disingenuous.
I just more try to listen and see where they're coming from. In hindsight, that wasn't smart. And in hindsight, I should have had someone, you know, maybe Sara Garvey, maybe another content creator that could have pushed back more and really was more educated on the topics that he was talking about than I was, because I certainly was not an expert in any of the stuff that he was talking about.
Now, I grew up in a time...
Well, if you knew that, you should have got him on there in the first place. Did you do your research any? Really? I mean, this is like common knowledge. You do your research about who you're going to have on before you have him on, right? Like, this is a pure bonehead move, man. A pure bonehead move, for real.
Where there were brilliant R&B girl groups like TLC, and also brilliant R&B artists like Toni Braxton. They both sold millions and millions and millions of records.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But they ended up broke.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Broke.
Why? Contracts.
Yep.
They were signed to contracts that did not favor them.
Yep.
And essentially, what Pearl is trying to do is come back in with the same contracts and do the exact same thing to the manosphere and do the exact same thing to the red pill community.
Cultural appropriation. Cultural appropriation, man. Wow. You know, this is why people love Eminem so much, because he didn't do this. And he's one of the very few, man, that he really values his black audience. You know what I mean? Like, this guy has kept it 100 from the start of his career, man. Utmost respect for M, man. Utmost respect for Eminem, for real. Yes, sir.
Why? Because Kevin Samuels left a gap.
Yep.
And Kevin Samuels' fan base was predominantly black men. And Pearl has come in there and attempted to be top of the food chain.
Yep.
I will not be a part of this game, and I will not be a part of this colony. I have always been an independent. If people in the UK who can actually say and watch all of my content can say that I've been around before Pearl even arrived in the UK, what would I look like signing my life away, essentially, 70% of all I own, to this woman who just arrived in the UK the other day?
That's crazy. That is crazy, man. Wow. And new in the game. I remember this chick when she started out, like she was on Donovan Sharp's show. I forgot what he called it, but he had he would do it on his show, and he had Pearl and a couple more chicks, and it was just women and Donovan Sharp, and they were giving out cool, great points. And I remember when Pearl got her start, man. Donovan Sharp is one of the first shows that I seen her. I remember when he was like, you know what, we need to call this girl. He told his girl, we need to call this girl and hit her up to see if she wants to come on the show. I remember Pearl when man, this is interesting, man. So interesting to go from that to this now. Wow, I wonder what Donovan has to say about this, man. Interesting.
She said to me that she's actually looking to sign more talent this year. Good for her. Good for the talent. But I hope they watch this video, and I hope they realize exactly what they will be signing.
Wow. Guys, look, don't forget to like the channel. Don't forget to like the channel, like the episode, man, and leave a comment below, man. I will definitely hit you back. You know what I'm saying? Let's get to it.
And I actually hope that this video makes her think about the ways.
Facts.
Because essentially, I had been with her from the beginning.
Yeah, man.
And I had helped grow her channel. And if she could suggest this to me, somebody who helped her grow her channel, then you are nothing to her.
Wow.
I have only given you around 30% of what I know. We haven't even touched on the very odd and weird parties.
Oh, man. This is not looking good. This is not looking good. Not looking good. Let's roll. Let's go with it. Let's go with it.
That Pearl likes to invite people to. And I was invited to one last year. And she told me that her manager was coming from America and they were going to have a party. And very interestingly, they said that it was going to be board games. And I said, okay, cool. I don't mind.
Wait, why is this guy moving like this in the background? This does not look good. What's going on, man? Why is he looking like this in the background? It is interesting.
I'm playing Monopoly.
Look at this guy.
I don't mind playing Snakes and Ladders. When I got there and I asked her about the board game, she said, no, a board game. There was a whiteboard in the living room. And what she proposed was that we all have a time on the whiteboard and we do what she says and we talk about sex.
Oh, Lord, have mercy, man. Oh, man. Now it's about a grab for power. Now it's about power. Why do people do this, man? Most of us cannot handle fame. It just is what it is. Most of us are not built for fame. Real talk. This is crazy.
Things which were quite sexual, and we put them on the whiteboard. But you know what I saw? I always saw her manager Kobe in the corner filming everything.
Uh-oh.
And we've all spoken amongst ourselves, and we've spoken about Hollywood and the things that go down. And within that party, what I saw was if people were on that board doing very sexual things and doing things while they were drunk.
Oh, man. Oh, boy. Oh, man. This is where we're going with it, huh? Wow. Come on, Pearl. I don't see how Pearl's going to come back from this. This is going to be interesting, man. This is going to be quite interesting to see what Pearl, if she has a response to this. I hope she does. It's going to be real juicy. And when she does, I'm going to cover it. I'm going to make sure you guys come back here for the exclusive if we do it. You know what I mean? Yes, sir. Guys, don't forget to like the channel. Don't forget to like the channel. Don't forget, man, like the channel, like this episode. The more likes, the more it pushes us through the stratosphere, and you can see more content like this when you log on to YouTube. You know what I'm saying? And don't forget, hit that notification, man. So every time an episode pops up, you know it's me. All right, let's get back to it.
That stuff was being recorded, but we'll speak about it another time.
I want to ask the men here. Okay. Women, raise your hand if you think women like violence.
Guys, that was pretty interesting. That was interesting, man. That was interesting, guys. Wow. People can't handle fame, man. It is what it is. Pearl just wasn't ready for this. She was not ready. You have to be prepared at all times, man, especially when you're dealing with people like Nick Fuentes. Are you kidding me? A known racist. Know what I'm saying? You have to be prepared to. Like I said, I think she was just trying to fast track it. I think she got greedy and it caught up to her. You know what I mean? But guys, thank you so much for joining me in another episode. Don't forget, like the content, subscribe to the channel, like the content, like this video so we can push it through the algorithm. The more you do so, the bigger we get. All right, without no more, cool. Thank you guys for joining in again. Until next time, let's get it. Peace.